somebody.
You play ball like a girl!
Anyone else want to try? You enjoying the show? What? Feel the power. Easy. Yeah.
How's it going, everyone? This is Quag. I'm here with a video on Cast Stab Amara. Now, this is a build I've been playing on stream a lot lately, and it's focused on using three things to do damage. We have Amara's action skills, and you have your choice of Phase Cast or Phase Flare optimally. You can make this work with other action skills, but those are the recommended choices. And you also have your Stinger Shield and your Face Puncher doing a large quantity of your damage. There's a few other things in there, but let's dig into the skills now. So, jumping into the skills here, we're going to start by pointing out that Green Tree is not taken here. You might say, Quag, there's melee skills here, there's splash skills here. You're using both of those things, but we get more of those things over in purple, so we're going to save our precious skill points. Now, we've got Blue Tree to start. We're going 3 in fast hands for reload and swap speed. This is important because we are switching to our Psycho Stabber for stinger damage, our EMP5 for movement speed, and our Face Puncher for shooting. And if you're using a times 14 Face Puncher, you spend a lot of time reloading. So this minimizes that. And we've got 1 point in Violent Tapestry to get the rush stacks off of that. 5 points in Do Harm to enhance our action skill damage. We've got 1 in Alacrity for reload speed to take advantage of our existing rush stacks. We've got 4 in Restless for cooldown. Now, Restless point for point is not a hugely valuable skill. If you want to, you can shift these points into additional reload speed. Ascendant will enhance the effectiveness of our action skill augment. We're going with Expedite in this particular build, but if you so choose, you can modify this to Allure for more crowd control, or Stillness of Mind for spicy, no damage crowd control memes. Then we've got Laid Bare for a nice powerful debuff. Now this acts as a multiplier to the rest of your damage formula because this is what we call skill debuff. It's even separate from gear debuff. And what this means is you hit an enemy with your action skill. Now this is easiest to do with Phase Flare or Phase Cast, and everything you do to them after that point will do 25% more damage. This is significant on Amara, who has the most difficult time maximizing her damage formula. Then we've got Wrath. Wrath is gun damage, which will hugely benefit our Face Puncher. Amara does not get significant quantities of gun damage, so every little bit helps, especially considering we have an abundance of melee damage already. Then we've got Remnant for mayhem-scaled splash elemental overkill shenanigans. We've got Awakening. Now, Awakening is a bit of a confusing skill, but it gains value when you're not using a Phase Zerker comp, as it applies to base rush stacks, but not Phase Zerker stacks. So, you might be used to Phase Zerker builds where you don't max Awakening, but in any action skill damage-centric build, and especially ones that don't use a Phase Zerker, you take this. And we've got Avatar for an additional chance at using our action skill in the event that, let's say we're running Phase Flare and we go into Fight for Your Life, you lose your action skill. This gives us a mulligan there. And for Phase Cast use, this is just more spam. Now in the red tree, we've got Steady Hands. This is accuracy and handling. This is a very, very nice quality of life skill, and it is the least wasteful thing in the first tier. Amara's red tree has a rough first tier. We're taking 1 in Anima just because we don't want any more than 1 in Infusion. since Infusion, we want the 1 point just to get the extra instance of damage for the extra status effect. And then we go 5 in Tempest. Now, it's worth noting that the 20% shock damage it claims to give here is actually 10. So you have 30 to all elements and then an additional 10 for just shock. Our action skill element of choice is shock, so this is huge for us. And then we've got Illuminated Fist for 75% melee damage. Moving on to the meat and potatoes of this, we've got the Purple Tree. Now, we're picking up melee damage here from applying a status effect. We do that all the time. This is always on. Then we have splash damage and projectile speed from Heavy Rain. The projectile speed is primarily noticed on the Psycho Stabber, if you should be shooting it for, let's say, moving around your Light Fantastic Phase Flare. And the splash damage is applying to our Body and Mind and our Stinger and our Remnant and our Hollow Point and our Phase Flare. All of those things. And then we've got 1 point in Trust in Yourself just to get down the tree. It's a nice little additional bit of swap and reload speed sometimes. Doesn't hurt. We've got 3 in Go with the Flow. Now this applies not just when you freeze an enemy, but also when you chill an enemy. So always on as long as you have Cryo somewhere on your gear. And then we've got Combo Breaker. This will trigger random resets of your action skill cooldown. 20% chance. When you get a Face Puncher kill or a Stinger kill. This does happen in the setup. It is not consistent, but due to a third of our damage being melee, this does happen and can lead to some pretty awesome chains of using multiple phase casts in particular. My personal record is 9. I would love to hear if you guys get any more than that in the comments below. And we've got Joyful Freedom. Now this stacks. This stacks. I'll repeat, Joyful Freedom stacks. So in most situations you'll have 140% from this, but if you should get a good chain of Combo Breaker, then you can get significantly more. Then we've got Burn Both Ends. This skill is confusing to describe, but suffice it to say this is elemental damage, so it is as valuable as Tempest over here. Definitely don't pass this up, but we only have the points to put 2 over here, because the next thing we need to do is max out Body and Mind. Now this is one of the times 31 Mayhem scaled abilities, and this does not have a trigger limit. What this means is it triggers 7 or 14 times on your Face Puncher, depending on how many pellets your Face Puncher has. And it is affected by Splash Radius, meaning that it is a powerful mobbing tool for tightly clumped enemies when shooting your Face Puncher, and it stacks into your Ground Breaker. So shooting your Face Puncher will trigger your Body and Mind, which will power up your next Face Puncher shot. It's a very stable loop and very powerful. And then Clear the Mind is mostly advantageous for action skills in the grand scheme of things, because this eliminates the weakness where, hey, I pick my element, I use my action skill, the boss is on a different kind of health bar now, so my action skill isn't as effective. That is no longer a situation as long as you've gotten a kill recently, and of course this does apply to our action skill element, our Body and Mind, and all of our other relevant things. And for Augment, we've got Expedite, now our Dragon class mod, and our powerful action skills such as Reverberation for Phase Cast and Light Fantastic for Phase Flare will make sure this is always on and very powerful. Chakra is the best for your action skill element here, because this will give you the largest multiplier against shields, and due to Clear the Mind, you will still be neutral against everything else. And you also get the largest bonus from Tempest with that. And then, as mentioned before, for action skills, you have Reverberation for your phase cast option. This by far does the most damage. It's absurdly ahead of the other options. And then we've also got Light Fantastic for Phase Flare. Now, as you saw in the demonstration footage, once you stack up the damage and get the kills rolling, you can simply tap enemies with a weapon of your choice. Light Fantastic will go to them, blow them up, spawn a Remnant Orb, which can then go hit another enemy, and Remnant can even crit, so it will cause a hollow point, essentially leading to triple dipping Mayhem scaled splash damage. Very, very satisfying and visually polluting mobbing. Now, as for gear, we're going to start with our EMP5. This is a utility item. This gives you movement speed while you hold it, And as with all of our other weapons, we want URAD. While under 50% health, deal 150% bonus radiation damage. This is one of 2 bonus elements you can get on your weapon, along with Terror Cryo 75%, that mayhem scale properly with mayhem scaling items and sources. This means action skill damage, this means melee damage. All of those huge multipliers work properly on these 2 and no others. So, alternative gear setup, you can run Terror Cryo instead of URAD and run Necessary Anoints on Shield and Grenade for that, but the recommended setup is going to be the URAD version. And for that, we have 2 Phase Punchers. We have times 7 and times 14. Times 14 is the main one, but times 7 is there as a backup, since with 14, you only get 3 shots before you have to reload, so sometimes you need more. You can swap to the times 7 for those situations. And remember, 14 pellets means 14 instances of body and mind. Then we have the Psycho Stabber with URAD as well, of course, and the Psycho Stabber has 120% melee damage, and then the rest of the number that makes up the 340 is actually a 2.2 times multiplier to the rest of your melee buffs, meaning that the more melee damage you have, the more the Psycho Stabber boosts your damage. And this is what we're going to want to hold anytime we are activating a Stinger Nova. And speaking of, we have our Stinger Shield here. And this shield creates a melee damage based Nova that also gets splashed, elemental, general damage boost, all that stuff when it's depleted. It also gives us a significant melee boost that does not go with other melee bonuses, meaning it is fully multiplicative while it's full. So while shooting our Phase Puncher, if our Stinger's full, we get more damage. When we activate our action skill due to this Anoint, or when we get downed, we get another Nova for more damage. Now this will actually spawn Remnant Orbs when it gets a kill, so it is very, very powerful in all scenarios. Then we've got our It's Piss Grenade with bonus Cryo for the Anoint, because we want some sort of Cryo damage to trigger that skill in Purple Tree that triggers based off of chilling or freezing enemies. That is the only reason we have the element there. And It's Piss as a grenade is desirable for Amara in particular, because she has the most difficult time maximizing her damage formula. This is another cog in the machine of making Amara deal acceptable and outright powerful single target damage. Then we've got for our artifact, we've got a Deathless. Now, desirable passives here are action skill cooldown, melee damage, area of effect damage, particularly in the 2nd or 3rd slots, so it is guaranteed to have a radius on top of it. And you've also got magazine size if you want to enhance your Phase Puncher a little bit, and you've got elemental damage and movement speed are desirable ones. You want an elemental stone of your choice here. Corrosive Stone is generally best for takedowns because it maximizes your damage against armored enemies while you don't have your kill skills up. But remember, because of your Purple Tree Capstone, your element of choice here does not matter in any significant degree. We've got a Dragon class mod with as many points in Do Harm as possible to enhance our action skills. And we've got weapon damage for our Phase Puncher. Splash damage and radius will assist our Hollow Point, our Remnant, our Phase Flare, our Body and Mind, our Stinger, all of those things, and it's just a lot of damage. Now, Dragon's effect means that we will trigger our Expedite Augment whenever we get a kill with a Phase Puncher or the Stinger, and we have even more chances to fight against the battle with cooldown that Amara has compared to other characters. So that does it for the video. I hope everyone enjoyed. I am live 6 days a week over at twitch.tv/tbjquag. I would love to see you over there. And for the rest of the video, enjoy the rest of a true Maliwan takedown run with Cast Stab. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ugh.